your girl Cha Cha reporting live from the Money Mantra, and we are back with another Forex education video. I created my channel to help as many people as possible become independent and profitable traders. So if that sounds like you are in the right place at the right time. So welcome or welcome back. Today's video is going to be pretty quick. If you've been here before, you know I like to do trade breakdowns almost every week. And this is where we just take a deep dive into the trades that I take. These are also the trades that I share with my trading community. As you can see here, it'll look like this when I post it. It says looking for sells on GBPUSD today. You can set sell stops so your trades trigger on the way down, and I'll be using previous highs as my stop loss. Now, whenever I post a trade in my community, I also will post a couple of different TPs they can target and encourage people to only take trades that make sense to them. And this is good advice for you too. Before you just go and copy trades from someone else, make sure that you cross-reference it with the indicators that you have on your chart and also check the news because it's better to be independent and profitable than to consistently be taking losses due to someone else's analysis. So I really hope that that makes sense to you. So we are going to take a look at this trade on TradingView and we're going to see how it played out. I like to do all of my charting on TradingView because it's pretty simple. They have a bunch of free tools that you can use to do your analysis. And if you've been following me for some time, you know that I've gone from using multiple indicators to only really focusing on one because that's all I need. I've just really transitioned to focusing more on price action because that's really what it's all about. And honestly, the indicators should just be confirming what the price is already telling you. So on TradingView, I will just take my notes directly on the chart and I will take my trades based on the confirmations that I get. Now, personally, I like to say that 3 confirmations are good, 4 confirmations are great, and 5 confirmations are fantastic. But whatever system you have or process that works for you, just make sure that you are actually following your rules and doing the same thing every time, unless you see that it's not working. But one of my biggest pieces of advice that I can give to you as a new trader or somebody looking to improve is honestly just do more of what works and do less of what doesn't. The process that you have should be so duplicatable that anybody can follow your system and be able to get results. So that's my intention here on the channel, is just to make trading as easy as possible for anyone looking for a simple strategy that you can duplicate and potentially pass on to someone else. Now, the first thing that I used on my chart were just a couple of horizontal lines. Whenever I'm doing my analysis, I like to look at previous areas of support and resistance, or just places where I can see that the market has bought and sold before. Now, any chart you look at will have candles on it. It doesn't matter which time frame you select, but this analysis happens to be on a 4-hour time frame. What this means is that each one of these candles happens over the course of 4 hours. So we can see for this period of time, this was the highest place that the market went, and this was the lowest place that the market went for that particular 4 hours. But if I were to look at these 6 candles, that would be the movement for the day. And I can see that this was the highest place that price went in a day, and this was the lowest place that price went in a day. Now, you just want to be able to identify previous places where the market has sold and previous places where the market has bought, because this is going to guide you to know when you should get in the market, when you should get out the market, or if you should even take the trade at all. Now, this should be easy to identify, although you may still struggle with entry points at first. But an area of resistance usually happens where you see a lot of candles are gathered in this area, but you don't really see any activity above it, letting us know that whenever price reached this zone, it's sold. And we can see that happen 1 time, 2 times. We see we get another rejection here 3 times. So that's a really good area of resistance, and that's why I decided to mark it at the top. Now, what can happen at an area of resistance is one of 2 things. The market can continue to sell, or it can break above that previous high, and you'll start to see candle activity above it. So Again, the first thing that can happen is it can come to this area of resistance and reject it again, which we see here, and which would give me one confirmation for a sell. Or if we look here, where we see this small area of consolidation, we can see while the market should have sold here because it resisted here in the past, there actually was a break of structure above, and then we get that buying momentum. Now, the same thing is true for when the market reaches an area of support. The market can continue to be supported. We can see this was a strong area of support simply because the market came down to this level multiple times. And when it sold, it pretty much sold back to that level as well, making this a really nice area of consolidation. Now, you can find as many areas of support and resistance as you see fit. We can see that this was also a strong area of support. You'll know it's a strong area of support if you see a lot of wicks at the bottom and you also see price tends to buy in this area. Now, two things can happen at an area of support. The market can continue to be supported and push up, or it can do what it started to do here, which is break past that level of support, turning previous support into resistance and giving us another confirmation for a sell. Now, this may be confusing if you've never traded before, but I want you to just go back and look at your charts and find areas where you see candles have gathered at the top with wicks, and find areas where you see candles have gathered at the bottom with wicks, and see how the market reacts to that area. Again, a break of structure above a previous area of consolidation usually will signal that the market wants to buy for some time, and a break of structure below a previous area of resistance will give us a signal that the market wants to sell. So the first thing I noticed again was the market was near an area of resistance. That was my first confirmation. Now, the second confirmation was, and let me just draw a straight line. The second confirmation that I got was the market was actually picking up for the sellers. The momentum was picking up for the sellers here. I see three red candles in a row, and it looks like this red candle wants to close below previous support, giving me my second strong confirmation. Now, the third thing I look at is I just check my stochastic oscillator, which is the only indicator I use these days to see what it's doing. And if it's facing down, that's usually a sign for me that the market is going down, like we see here and like we see here. Here is another example of the stochastic facing down, and then we can see the market is reflecting the same thing as well. On the other side, if you see that the stochastic is facing up, you will notice that the market will tend to be pushing a little bit higher. And then we have the same thing here. So my stochastic was not only facing down, other confirmations that I look for are if the orange line is on top, like we see here, that's a bearish or selling confirmation. Here we see the orange line on top. Here we see the bearish. Here we see the orange line on top. Here we see the bearish. Versus if the blue line was on top, that would give me a bullish signal. And last but not least, my stochastic, you'll see three lines here. They're pretty significant for me for when I'm taking my entries. If it crosses below 80, 50, or 20, I will sell. If it crosses above 20, 50, or 80, I will buy. So far, I actually have five confirmations for a sell, which was how I decided to take this. I pretty much just use previous lows as my TPs because if a trade is selling, we saw that it will continue to revisit the same levels. If it's selling, I'm going to use previous lows as my TPs. And I will use a previous high as my stop loss because a selling market should not be creating new highs. So we're actually going to click play and we're going to see how this trade played out. And then that's going to be all for this lesson. So as we can see, not only did the market break past that previous level of support, we also got some more momentum on the sellers on this red candle. We can see the market broke past an additional level of support and continued to sell all the way down to our next potential TP. Now, I really hope that you were able to take something away from this video today. I post a trade idea at least once a week on TradingView, so you can follow me there. And you'll also get a detailed explanation just like this video, but typed out as to why I decided to take the trade. And again, you can see in real time how the trade is playing out. But if you want to connect with me outside of YouTube, I do have a trading community and other ways to reach me, and all of that information is down below in my description box. So thank you so much for watching this video today. I truly hope that you decide to become a subscriber or a member, and I hope you come back and you just learn some more. But that's really all I have for you guys today. Until next time, rich friends.